In India, a boy calmly traps a wandering leopard inside an office.
Forest Department officials say they tranquilized and relocated the leopard into the woods. More details on this later in the news. Good evening, I am Gianna Llanes.
I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. embarks on a 3-day working visit to Germany.
RBH7 is going for a 3-day plenary debate.
Haiti armed conflict puts Port-au-Prince in a dire condition.
A rare rainstorm floods Dubai streets.
And find out who leads the race in the 2024 Academy Awards.
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Paris, France.
United Kingdom.
Washington, D.C.
London Bureau, Papua New Guinea.
In New York,
Washington, D.C.
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng Agila.
Mata ng Agila International.
Trusted, connected, on point.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is flying to Central Europe for a 3-day working visit to Germany. Philippine Ambassador to Germany Irene Susan Natividad noted that the president will introduce the Philippines as a growing investment hub in Southeast Asia to foreign investors. President Marcos is also due to meet with the German business community. Ambassador Natividad explained that President Marcos's working visit to Germany would also benefit 35,000 overseas Filipino workers residing in the European country. The diplomat also highlighted the strategic partnerships between the Philippines and Germany in various aspects of mutual cooperation would be enhanced by the president's 3-day working visit. President Marcos will also meet with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to discuss issues about the two nations' economic engagements. This includes climate change, maritime cooperation, skills development partnership, and labor cooperation.
The Philippines and the European Union have joined forces to launch a 3.65 billion peso program aimed at tackling environmental degradation and combating climate change while simultaneously fostering economic growth within the nation. Environment Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga explained that the Green Economy Program for the Philippines is designed to expedite the country's transition towards a more sustainable and environmentally conscious economy. She emphasized that through this program, the country can significantly reduce its plastic consumption, ensure the availability of clean water supply, promote energy efficiency measures, and facilitate the deployment of renewable energy sources, among others. Secretary Loizaga further said, and I quote, "A green economy provides us with both adaptation and mitigation strategies to address the impacts of climate change. For a country facing extreme weather events and the potential for environmental degradation, enhancing resilience is fundamental."
The resolution of both houses, or RBH7, which advocates for the amendment of the economic provisions of the 1987 Constitution, has progressed through the second reading or plenary debate stage. House Majority Floor Leader Manuel Manix Delipe disclosed that RBH7 will undergo a 3-day plenary debate to provide congressmen with the opportunity to pose questions regarding the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Based on our experience, the plenary sponsorship and debate on second reading of resolution of both houses number 7 will be quite a little bit shorter than those compared with the Committee of the Whole House, wherein the resource persons were given more time. So dito, although we will still exhaustively discuss this, that's why we are giving 3 days for the debates on second reading.
In adherence to the legislative process, a bill undergoing the second reading must undergo a plenary debate and may also undergo a period of amendments if necessary changes are identified. The House remains hopeful that the Senate will conclude discussions on their own RBH 6, which also seeks economic charter change, before the Congress session recess scheduled for March 22nd.
The Armed Forces of the Philippines commissioned a survey that shows 7 out of 10 Filipinos are willing to fight in the event of a conflict with another country. The survey was conducted amid escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea in the contested South China Sea. The poll revealed that 77% of Filipinos would rise to defend the country from an external enemy, while 23% disagreed. Under the administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., Beijing and Manila's relationship had been strained after Marcos pivoted the Philippines back to its traditional allies, led by the United Nations. In the survey conducted, the majority of respondents who say that they were willing to fight for the country belongs to Davao region and Cagaga with 96%, closely trailed by Socsoc-Gen with 95%. The survey has a margin of error of -3% at a 95% confidence level.
A total of 126 reservists will be deployed to Batanes after Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr.'s order to increase personnel in the country's northernmost island province facing Taiwan. Vice Admiral Toribio Adasi Jr. said the new reservists are vital in providing a secure and safe environment in Batanes, describing Batanes as the Philippines' last and northernmost frontier. He said the military should improve their ability to protect Batanes from those who want to invade it. He added that when the government needs mobilization or additional force, the reservists will serve as the base for expansion. The new recruits would also help in humanitarian assistance and disaster response in the region. The Philippine government is boosting its military presence in Batanes amid the escalating maritime disputes with China. Batanes is also being eyed as among the possible sites in April for the 2024 Balikatan exercises between the Philippines and the United States.
An expected rollback on oil products will take effect tomorrow. The Department of Energy said motorists are expected to pay 50 centavos per liter less for gasoline. Diesel per liter, on the other hand, will go down by 25 centavos. Meanwhile, kerosene price per liter will also decrease by 30 centavos. The rollback on oil products is due to the fluctuating demands on crude in China and the United States.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has released a statement extending the sympathy of the Philippine government to the family of the 2 Filipino seafarers who died in the Houthi rebel attacks on a merchant vessel in the Gulf of Aden in Yemen. In a statement, President Marcos Jr. said, and I quote, "The government is in constant contact with their families and we will spare no effort in bringing their remains home." The Liberia-owned vessel, True Confidence, carrying vehicles and steel products, was struck by anti-ballistic missiles 50 nautical miles southwest of Aden. Aboard the vessel were 15 Filipinos, 4 Vietnamese, and 1 Indian crewman with 3 other armed guards from Nepal and Sri Lanka. The 13 surviving Filipinos are safe in Djibouti, and the Philippine Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, is spearheading the efforts for their safe return home. Meanwhile, the DFA, DMW, OWA, and DOH were instructed to provide assistance to the affected seafarers' families. President Marcos Jr. has joined other nations' calls for the end to this conflict and for full respect for the principle of freedom and navigation.
Coming up, gunmen kidnap hundreds of students in Nigeria. Is Sweden preparing for war? And Hezbollah fires rockets into Israel. Stay tuned. Mata ng Agila International will return for more global news.
in the sky. Kaya lumilipad na naman tayo. Sino ba itong uupo ngayon sa ating iconic chairs?
Finally, nag-guess na rin ako dito. Just canceled everything for you.
Talaga, ay naku, nakakatuwa naman. Medyo kakaiba ang ating papasukin ngayong araw. The Goodwill Resort with the Goodwill Cast. Woo! Tinur niya tayo sa kanyang bagong buhay.
Mundo.
Tamang-tama, pinag-uusapan sila ng lahat ngayon. Tingnan ka!
Ayan na.
Ayan na. Alam mo talaga siya, no? Yes! Tatlong buwan! Kinasal ka na? Yes! Ngayon natin malalaman ang totoo. So now, let's spill the coffee.
Spill the coffee.
Yes. And we're here at Net25. Ito ang tahanan ng Corina Interviews.
Let's net together. Sa Net25. Sa Net25.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. The government of South Korea started deploying military physicians and doctors from public health centers to strike-hit hospitals on Monday. 28 military surgeons, along with 138 public health doctors, will be assigned to 20 hospitals for 4 weeks. The support group will help care for patients affected by the walkout of nearly 12,000 doctors and trainees. Doctors and interns are protesting against the decision of the government to relax the strict entry requirements into medical school. As a result of the walkouts, 5 major hospitals and Seoul hospitals have reduced their operations by 50%. Emergency departments are being forced to turn away patients, but the government said the military and police hospitals are open to civilians. The opening hours of public medical institutions are also extended. The health ministry added that notices had been sent to more than 4,900 doctors, instructing them that authorities could start suspending licenses if they did not return to work. The government said it will continue with the medical reforms, stressing it is crucial to increase annual medical school admissions to cure the shortage of doctors in South Korea.
North Korea's Kim Jong-un has issued a stark warning to South Korea and the United States. During the Freedom Shield exercises by Seoul and Washington, Pyongyang delivered large-scale artillery drills along its western coast. Reports suggest that Kim's artillery drills involved at least 20 240mm multiple rocket launchers and at least 32 self-propelled guns of various types. A spokesperson for North Korea's Ministry of National Defense said the large-scale war drills staged by the world's biggest nuclear weapons state can never be called defensive. Experts say Pyongyang's aggressive military posture and readiness drills stress the heightened state of alertness on the Korean peninsula.
Gunmen launched a brazen attack on a school in Nigeria's northwest region, seizing a staggering 287 students in the second mass abduction to rock the West African nation in less than a week. Initially, authorities had reported that over 100 students were taken hostage in the assault, but upon further investigation revealed to visiting officials, the actual count of missing students stood at 287. In response to the dire situation, Kaduna Governor Uba Sani swiftly reassured the affected community that the local government, in collaboration with national security agencies, would spare no effort in ensuring the safe return of every child. The abduction of students from schools in northern Nigeria has unfortunately become distressingly common and a significant cause for concern since 2014. Over the years, these incidents have been concentrated in the northwestern and central regions, where numerous armed groups frequently target villagers and travelers, often demanding exorbitant ransoms and for their release.
A UN envoy says humanitarian aid deliveries to Gaza via air or sea are not a substitute for sending life-saving supplies by trucks. Rosel Feria reports.
Hours after U.S. officials announced plans to establish a temporary port in Gaza, aid coordinator Sigrid Kaag says aid deliveries by air and sea cannot replace those sent through land routes. COG says the U.S. plan will nonetheless provide very important help and is a welcome development.
We understand that the Americans will be joining that and indeed maybe building a temporary port to Gaza with a view to provide for that much urgent humanitarian assistance and the scale up that's needed, particularly to reach the north. We welcome this. At the same time, I cannot but repeat, air and sea is not a substitute for land, and nobody says otherwise. The additionality, however, at this critical juncture will be very important.
CAG warns that the more desperate people are, the more they will seek recourse to take the aid by hook or by crook. Nobody, she adds, can blame them.
I don't think we have words when people are suffering to that extent. I think the only thing they can expect from us is that we work 24/7. But if you're in such dire straits, I don't think you're looking at news from New York, with all due respect. You're trying to survive, and you're trying to find food for your children. That's what a mother does. Thank you.
Rosel Feria for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Meanwhile, military planes from 5 countries parachuted much-needed humanitarian aid over Gaza on Sunday. The Jordanian army says that American, French, Belgian, and Egyptian planes also participated in the relief operation that included 6 joint airdrops in the northern parts of Gaza. Arlene Ocampo reports.
This latest airdrop over Gaza's north, where famine looms, comes more than 5 months into the Israel-Hamas war. Hundreds of Palestinians rushed to receive the falling pallets of basic supplies. For more than 3 hours across northern Gaza on Sunday, hundreds of people, including men, women, and children, waited in anticipation. As soon as they heard the sound of the planes above, they looked up and ran as they waited for the pallets to land. The United Nations says that the vast majority of Gaza's 2.4 million people are on the brink of famine. The problem is worse in the north, where Israeli restrictions have hampered overland aid access. The health ministry in the Hamas-ruled territory say at least 23 people, almost all of them children, have recently died of malnutrition and dehydration. Humanitarian workers and UN officials say easing overland access of aid trucks into the Gaza Strip would be more effective than airdrops or maritime shipments to alleviate the dire crisis. Arlene Ocampo from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Protesters greeted Dutch King Willem-Alexander and Israeli President Isaac Herzog as they arrived at the opening of the Netherlands' first Holocaust Museum Sunday. The demonstrators expressed their anger at Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Pearl Rogacion has more.
Protesters waving Palestinian flags and banners booed and shouted slogans at Dutch King Willem-Alexander and Israeli President Isaac Herzog. The demonstrations had been organized by, among others, Jewish groups urging an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Hundreds of demonstrators shouted "Never again is now," a reference to their belief Israel is committing genocide in the Palestinian territory. Protesters had hung signs on lampposts reading "Detour the International Criminal Court" along the route. The Holocaust Museum in the heart of the Jewish quarter of Amsterdam will open to the public today, Monday, almost 80 years after World War II ended. The museum displays 2,500 objects, many never seen before in public. Before the war and the Nazi occupation, the Netherlands was home to a vibrant Jewish community of around 140,000 people, mainly concentrated in Amsterdam. By the time the Holocaust was over, an estimated 75% had been murdered. The museum's opening comes at a time of rising anti-Semitism in the Netherlands. Pearl Rogacion for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Bolivia's capital, La Paz, is grappling with a dire situation as heavy rainfall has triggered severe flooding, prompting authorities to declare a state of emergency. Overflowing rivers have wreaked havoc, causing extensive damage to numerous homes over the weekend. Several neighborhoods have been flooded, leading to disruptions in water and electricity supplies in isolated areas of the city.
Cuando vemos que no podemos dar abasto con el
vecinos aquí se han organizado y los vecinos están construyendo gaviones para proteger sus casas y sus espacios.
One individual lost their life in La Paz over the weekend, adding to the nearly 50 fatalities nationwide as a result of floods since the beginning of the rainy season. Bolivian President Luis Arce has expressed deep concern over the situation and has pledged to take decisive action. He has committed to deploying heavy machinery and mobilizing 3,000 troops to help mitigate further damage and provide relief to affected communities.
NATO troops from France, Sweden, Finland, and Italy conduct an amphibious joint operation in a fjord in northern Norway. This as part of the NATO Nordic response exercise. Bernadette Ragini tells us more.
It is the largest event of its kind since 1988. The amphibious drills will continue until 14th March. Sweden joined the military alliance last Thursday. This makes this exercise its first as an official member. Finnish conscript at Umman belonging to NATO makes them feel secure.
Everyone is on board that we're a part of NATO, and it makes me very happy that we're here and get to train NATO, and it makes me feel secure. It's very important. We have kind of a saying of to secure peace is to prepare for war, and I feel like that describes the situation very well.
USS Gonston Hall commanding Christopher W. Van Loenen explains the aim of the exercise.
Absolutely. We're trying to build what's called a transatlantic link, demonstrating our ability to assemble forces anywhere in Europe, anywhere in our NATO allies, and move them to any region necessary in order to face any foe.
Bernadette Ragini from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
On the cusp of the country's NATO membership and faced with an increasingly aggressive Russia, Swedish citizens are getting ready for the unthinkable. They are following the advice of the country's army chief, Mikael Biden, who says Swedes have to mentally prepare for war. Thomas Eyelikeness has that story.
A lot of people are taking the threat of war seriously, and they're following the government's advice to stock up on food and medicine. Pensioner Harry Sepp has taken that to heart.
Everything we see here is something that is recommended by the state, that everyone should have a preparedness to stay on their own for at least 10 days.
He also has water purifying equipment and communications. He says that's important too, but Sepp won't be relying on his cell phone or the internet.
Most important, and that is a radio, because if you don't get any information on what's happening, then there is a risk that you miss important information.
Charlotte Petri Gornitska is the head of the Swedish Civil Contingencies Agency. She says these preparations mean people have to adopt a new mindset.
Well, Sweden has, had peace for over 200 years. So I think, it's fair to say that we haven't had, luckily so, we haven't had to practice that.
Those centuries of peace have left the population so poorly prepared for the possibility of war that there's even a Swedish term for it, fredskadad. That translates as peace damaged. But things are changing. A recent poll showed that a third of the 1,000 people surveyed are now more worried about the possibility of war. That's especially true among young people. And 1 in 3 also say they've begun to consider how to prepare at home. Pensioner Sepp says people have to do more than stock up, though.
You should also be more mentally prepared for this could happen.
And it's that mental preparation that will be the hardest. The country's been living in peace for so long that war and its effects are almost an abstract concept. Thomas Eyelikeness from Atanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
The United States and Germany began moving out their ambassadors and diplomatic staff from the Haitian capital of Port-au-Prince Sunday. The capital is spiraling deeper into gang violence. Carlo Valdez reports.
Haiti's beleaguered residents scramble for safety following the latest spasm of unrest.
A United Nations group warns of a city under siege after armed attackers targeted the presidential palace and police headquarters. Criminal groups control much of Port-au-Prince as well as roads leading to the rest of the country. In recent days, they have unleashed havoc as they try to oust Prime Minister Ariel Henry as leader of the Western Hemisphere's poorest country. With dysfunction growing, bodies have been seen lying in Port-au-Prince streets. The unrest has internally displaced 362,000 people. The well-armed gangs recently have attacked critical infrastructure, including 2 prisons, allowing most of their 3,800 inmates to escape. Port-au-Prince and Western Haiti are under a month-long state of emergency. In a pre-dawn operation on Sunday, the U.S. military began airlifting embassy staff out of Haiti. Helicopters took staff to the airport where they departed. A State Department spokesperson says the embassy remains open on a limited basis with reduced personnel. The German Foreign Ministry, meanwhile, says its ambassador joined other European Union representatives in leaving for the Dominican Republic on Sunday. Carlo Valdez from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Most of them fleeing violence, others extreme poverty. Migrants push their luck crossing the Mexico-U.S. border for a better chance at life. This despite Texas officials reinforcing the state's wire fence. Percy Parlade has more.
A one-legged man wearing shorts in the colors of the American flag hands his crutches to fellow migrants as they prepare to hop across the Rio Grande. This in hopes of achieving their dream of reaching the United States as he flees violence in his hometown of Buenaventura, Colombia. On the other side of the river, Texas authorities continue to reinforce a barbed wire fence. This fence was installed in an attempt to reduce the flow of migrants entering the U.S. This measure, President Joe Biden's administration is challenging in court. The U.S. Supreme Court has temporarily authorized the federal government to remove the barbed wire. Texas, however, has continued to install it while the dispute proceeds. Percival Parlade from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The militant group Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for firing dozens of rockets into northern Israel in retaliation for Israeli strikes that occurred a day earlier. These strikes resulted in the deaths of at least 5 people in southern Lebanon, including 3 members of Hezbollah. Hezbollah, which is aligned with the Palestinian group Hamas, and Israel have been engaged in near daily hostilities across the border since the beginning of the conflict in Gaza. The militant group stated that this action was a response to Israeli attacks on villages in the south and civilian homes. Since the onset of cross-border violence, at least 312 people have been killed in Lebanon, mostly Hezbollah fighters, but also included 53 civilians, while in Israel, the latest official figures report 10 soldiers and 7 civilians killed.
Despite economic uncertainties that have shaken some other global mass market apparel giants, Spanish fashion retailer Mango ramps its global expansion. Kimi Oria tells us more.
After a slowdown sparked by the COVID-19 pandemic, family-owned company Mango in recent months inaugurated several large stores around the globe. They include a 400 square meter space in Los Angeles, a similar-sized one in Manchester, England, and a flagship store in India's tech hub of Bengaluru. The company says it opened a total of 115 stores over the past year. These are mainly in the United States, where its sales outlets have tripled. It now has more than 2,700 stores in over 115 countries. The expansion helped boost turnover, with Mango expecting to post over 3 billion euros or $3.3 billion in sales in 2023. The company sells nearly 160 million items of clothing and accessories a year. Kimi Oria from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
India's Serum Institute says it has bolstered its manufacturing of vaccines for malaria and dengue. Malaria or dengue has killed more than 500,000 people every year. Chief Executive Officer Adar Poonawalla says Serum can produce 100 million doses of its malaria vaccine and could scale up further depending on demand. 25 million doses are also available for their launch in the coming months. Poonawalla says Serum is also testing a single-dose vaccine for dengue, adding that the vaccine is in early to mid-stage trials in India. He says Serum expects to complete the late-stage trials of dengue vaccine in the next 3 years.
Up next, intense rainfall sweeps across Dubai. 5 skiers have been found dead in the Swiss Alps. And Brazil seeks to curb AI deepfakes. Stay tuned, Matana Agila International will be back after a short break.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
The death toll from flash flooding and landslides on the Indonesian island of Sumatra has risen to 21. Officials say 6 people are still missing. Angel Membreri has more details.
Rescuers spent Sunday searching for the missing. About 150 people from disaster organizations are involved in the effort. The waters have started to recede after the flooding, but access to areas affected by the landslide remain difficult because of hilly terrain. Torrential rains on Thursday triggered the disaster. The storm forced more than 75,000 people from their homes. A landslide followed by a flash flood isolated a village with around 200 families located on a hillside in the Sutera subdistrict. Indonesia is prone to landslides during the rainy season. The problem has been aggravated in some places by deforestation, with prolonged torrential rain causing flooding in some areas of the archipelago nation. Angel Membreri for Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
French rescue workers recovered 3 bodies on Sunday and are searching for 4 other people after violent storms lashed the southeast of the country. Most of the missing are believed to have been swept away in cars on flooded bridges. Mark Castillo has the details.
French officials say a family of 4, including 2 children aged 4 and 13, became caught in the flood Saturday evening. They had been trying to drive across a bridge over a river. The father and 2 children are still missing, but rescuers managed to save the mother, who had also been in the car. Crews found the body of another victim found a few hundred meters from where a car with 2 Belgian passengers had been swept away by the raging waters. Authorities say the driver had tried to cross a bridge even after it was closed, and a police officer had told him not to attempt the passage. One of the 2 passengers managed to escape and was later found clinging to a tree for more than 2 hours before being rescued. And on Sunday, rescue workers recovered the bodies of 2 women from a car. Mark Castillo from Matanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
A major storm dumped about 6 months' worth of rain on the United Arab Emirates. On Sunday, residents of Dubai spent the day mopping up from the deluge. This is what it looked like Sunday in Dubai as water began to recede from the city streets. Nearly 50 millimeters of rain fell on the city over a 6-hour period Saturday. Lightning, which is rarely seen in the country, lit up the sky. The rain flooded streets and snarled traffic. One major highway had to be shut down. The storm also disrupted flights at Dubai International Airport. The airport is the world's busiest by international traffic. Rain is unusual in the region.
2 individuals have been injured in a fire that sparked at a warehouse near St. Petersburg in the Leningrad region. Emergency services said that the blaze has reduced 1,000 square meters of the facility into ashes. Authorities claim that a drone was shot down in the vicinity. There were no casualties and infrastructure damages reported. Meanwhile, the Pulkovo airport in St. Petersburg, Russia, was closed in response to the attempted drone attack at the warehouse. This was to ensure the safety of civilian aircraft.
A fire broke out at the Conticar container warehouse in Cartagena, Colombia. Workers exiting the facility heard a sudden explosion from the inside and were forced to flee from the area. Fire authorities said the flames spread to a second building. Local officials evacuated residents as a precaution. Reports about injuries have yet to be confirmed. Fire crews were seen containing the blaze. Meanwhile, eyewitnesses reported visible thick black smoke rising from the site.
In India, CCTV footage showed a boy calmly trapping a wandering leopard inside an office room in Maharashtra. Authorities identified the boy as 12-year-old Mohit Ahire. Ahire, the son of a security guard, was casually scrolling through his phone when the leopard entered the room. The 12-year-old boy knew what to do as he immediately jumped up and exited the room after the leopard passed his post. Forest Department officials said they tranquilized and relocated the leopard into a forest.
Swiss officials have confirmed the deaths of 5 out of 6 cross-country skiers who went missing in the Swiss Alps over the weekend, with the search ongoing for the last individual. The group, comprising skiers ranging from 21 to 58 years old, had departed from Zermatt on Saturday morning with the aim of reaching the town of Arola, near the Matterhorn mountain, later that day. As they approached a mountain peak between Zermatt and Arola, a severe storm enveloped the region, leaving the skiers stranded at an altitude of approximately 3,500 meters. Despite a distress call to emergency services, helicopters and rescue teams were initially unable to deploy due to the intensity of the storm.
À 18h30, une équipe de tête qui était composée de 2 sauveteurs spécialisés, d'un médecin et d'un policier du groupe montagne a pu être héliporté et déposé à proximité de la cabane de la Dent Blanche. À 21h18, les secouristes arrivent sur place aux coordonnées que nous avions pu établir. Et c'est là qu'on découvre malheureusement 5 des 6 personnes décédées.
The search continues for the last individual, although the circumstances make the odds challenging.
Several hundred people demonstrated Sunday against plans by Tesla to expand its electric car factory near Berlin. The demonstrators cite environmental concerns. Kimi Oria tells us more.
The protest came days after Tesla's Grünheide site had to in a suspected arson attack that caused a power outage at the plant. Far-left activists from the Volcano Group claimed responsibility for the fire. A coalition of environmental protection groups, including Extinction Rebellion, NABU, and Robin Hood, organized Sunday's protest. They opposed Tesla's plan to expand the Grünheide plant by 170 hectares from a current size of 300 hectares. Environmentalists and residents worry about the deforestation required for the expansion, the impact on local water supply, and an increase in road traffic in the area. A local referendum recently saw more than 60% of respondents vote against the proposed expansion, though the vote is not legally binding. Kimi Oria from Atanang Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
U.S. authorities announced sanctions on parties associated with Intellexa Consortium. The group has been cited for their role in making and distributing commercial spyware used to target U.S. officials, journalists, and others. Elise Danielle has more.
Among those sanctioned are Intellexa Consortium founder Tal Jonathan Dillian and Sarah Alexandra Fasal Amu. Amu has provided managerial services to the group. The Intellexa Consortium was founded in 2019. It served as a marketing label for companies offering commercial spyware and surveillance tools. Treasury Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence Brian Nelson says commercial surveillance tools increasingly present a security risk to the United States and its citizens. The tools, the Treasury Department says, are packaged as a suite under the brand name Predator Spyware. It is able to infiltrate devices without user interaction. The Treasury adds that the Predator spyware has been deployed by foreign actors in an effort to covertly surveil U.S. government officials, journalists, and policy experts. 5 other companies were also hit with sanctions over activities such as exporting Intellexa's surveillance tools to authoritarian regimes and working as a developer of the Predator spyware. Elise Danielle for Montana Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
In Canada, health officials of Ontario province sound the alarm for a possible measles outbreak. Yolanda Aspiras reports.
There is warning of a potential measles outbreak here in the province of Ontario. As Public Health Ontario reports, at least 5 confirmed cases of measles so far. Spread through coughing and sneezing, measles is a highly contagious virus that can stay up to 2 hours in the air. Fever, rash, coughs, runny nose, red watery eyes, sensitivity to light and white spots around the mouth are some of the symptoms of measles. Endemic measles or regularly occurring measles in a region has been eliminated in Canada. However, recently, imported cases of measles have occurred in the province. Last month, Peel Public Health reported and confirmed a measles case with a child who recently traveled abroad. This week, York Region's medical officer of health has reported that a man in his 30s infected with measles had close contact with a high school, exposing 1,500 students and 150 staff members to the virus. Those exposed have been encouraged to take the measles vaccine. According to Public Health Agency of Canada, most measles outbreaks in Canada are the result of returning travelers who were infected abroad. In Toronto, Ontario, Yolanda Aspiras for Matanang Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
China claims the United States is abusing its national power after U.S. authorities arrested a Chinese software engineer. Earlier this week, the United States Justice Department charged Lin Wei Ding, also known as Leon Ding, with 4 counts of theft of trade secrets for allegedly stealing AI files from Google. U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland said they would not tolerate the theft of advanced technology that could put Washington at risk. But Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning argues that the United States is suppressing Chinese citizens.
原则，特别是你提到的这个所谓中国公民涉嫌这个窃取谷歌的这个技术被美方逮捕，我作为原则，我是想强调一下，中方一贯是高度重视并积极保护知识产权的。我们坚持公平公正地保护国内外知识产权所有者的合法权益。同时，我们也反对美国滥用 国家力量无理地打压中国企业和中国公民，我们会采取必要的措施，维护中国企业和公民的合法正当权益。
Brazil is scrambling to regulate artificial intelligence ahead of municipal polls as AI-generated videos and photos are being used for political disinformation. Brazilian authorities banned the use of deepfake technology and set out guidelines for the use of AI for electoral purposes. Since the launching of ChatGPT in 2022, the development of AI has been turbocharged and shaken up the online landscape. Authorities are particularly concerned in cases like that of a mayor's voice was cloned to create an audio file shared on social media in which he insults teachers in his municipality. The Superior Electoral Tribunal decided to act regarding the use of deepfake technology that was formally banned in the October municipal electoral campaign. TSE President warns that the deepfake technology could change the result of the elections.
In India, a school in Kerala state has unveiled its first ever AI teacher robot dubbed Iris. Indian robotics firm Maker Labs said that their robot is aimed to be a versatile teaching tool with interactive capabilities. Maker Labs added that Iris is equipped with an AI-based voice assistant to provide explanations and perform educational content. Iris is also capable of answering questions in 3 languages. The firm disclosed that Iris was powered by Intel and is accessible via Android. Meanwhile, New Delhi announced that it has approved a $1.2 billion worth of investment in the technology over the next 5 years. Coming right up, which mystery artist could invade the Paris Olympics? Kensington Palace comes under fire for doctored photos. And Oppenheimer dominates at the 2024 Oscars. Catch more news in sports and entertainment when we return.
Ba't ba napakainit ang ulo mo?
Hindi ba init ang ulo ko? Mainit ang panahon.
Oo nga pala. Tag-init na nga pala ngayon. At dahil dyan, may tips kami para sa'yo. Ngayong Fire Prevention Month.
Bunutin sa saksakan ng mga appliances pagkatapos gamitin.
Iwasan ang pagkakasaksak ng maraming devices sa isang extension cord.
Itabi ang mga flammable item sa ligtas na lugar.
Laging isara ang gas tank kapag hindi na ginagamit.
Magkaroon ng fire extinguisher.
Stay cool and chill.
Huwag makisabay sa init ng panahon.
Abangan sa Lutong Daza.
Favorite natin lahat, Pinoy Merienda Classics. Busog sa sarap, busog sa tawanan kasama ang walang kakupas-kupas na si Bayani Agbayani.
Espesyal ang ating handa. Meron tayong pansit gamit ang 4 kinds of noodles, pork siomai,
Turon with a twist at masarap na ginumis. Saan ka pa?
Kita-kits sa Lutong Daza.
Let's get together. Sunday 25. Sunday 25.
London Underground Network holds auditions for the first time since the pandemic for buskers to provide entertainment in the busy undergrounds for travelers always in a rush. From the United Kingdom, Aribel Celestino reports.
London Southwark train station in an airy spot between two escalators, a small group of musicians unpacked their instruments, checked their music, and calmed any last-minute nerves. The London Underground Network is holding its first auditions since the pandemic for buskers to keep the city's 3.5 million daily travelers entertained and uplifted. Actor and singer Peter Willoughby was one of the first to step forward. Passers-by rushed past, no time to stop, but the appreciative looks they threw in his direction were unmistakable. The 35-year-old began busking when he was a teenager in his home city of Ipswich in eastern England, setting him on a path to a career in acting. Around 280 musicians from 450 who applied have been shortlisted for the 10 days of auditions which have just begun. The shortlisted performers will be put through their paces at several stations including Blackfriars and Canary Wharf by 3-strong judging panels made of professional musicians along station staff. They will be assessed on a combination of musical ability and stage presence, according to Transport for London or TfL, which runs the Underground Network, with no upper limit except on the number of buskers who can be accepted to play. The licensed busking scheme has been around for over 20 years with auditions held every 3 years for around 40 pitches. Most are located on the underground, but there are also few on the overground train network, which serves this city of nearly 9 million people. The judges' selections are due to be announced towards the end of March, with the new cohort up and running and entertaining London travelers by November. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I am Arabel Celestino for Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
The Paris Olympics may introduce a novel sport, scoring points by tracking down mosaics created by a mysterious artist known as Invader, which he has cemented onto walls across France, the world, and even onto the International Space Station. In essence, as millions of Olympic visitors converge on Paris from July 26th to August 11th, they'll find themselves immersed in the domain of France's most globally recognized, invasive, and enigmatic contemporary street artist. Similar to Banksy, the renowned British street artist with whom he's occasionally compared, Invader remains elusive, fiercely guarding his anonymity, and operates on the fringes of legality. He arrives, fixes his mosaics, and vanishes into the night, leaving behind his distinctive pixelated artworks created primarily from ceramic and glass tiles. While most of Invader's pieces resemble characters from the iconic Space Invaders arcade game, some are intricately detailed, featuring still lifes of fruit, or in locales like New York, portraits of cultural icons like Lou Reed and Andy Warhol.
Kate, Princess of Wales, has apologized after admitting she edited a family photograph released on Sunday. Kensington Palace released the image on Sunday with a message from Princess Kate thanking the public for its support. The photograph is the first officially released image of the princess since she underwent abdominal surgery in January and after weeks of public speculation and conspiracy theories as to her exact whereabouts and health being. But after a few hours, several major news agencies withdrew the image, saying they believe the photo was manipulated. Today, Princess Kate posted an apology using the Kensington Royal account. She said that like many amateur photographers, she does occasionally experiment with editing. Princess Kate also extends apologies for any confusion the family photograph has caused. Kensington Palace, meanwhile, said it would not be reissuing the unedited photograph. It was a big night for Oppenheimer, which bagged 7 awards, including Best Picture. But it looks like Ryan Gosling and a few other antics may have stolen the show. Catherine Ertula has the details.
And the Oscar goes to Meryl Streep.
The curtains have finally closed on the Oscars, wrapping up an impressive yet expected lineup for actors, directors, and fans alike. This awards season had it all. Bradley Cooper spending 6 years in conducting school for a 6-minute sequence that people pretended to care about. Cillian Murphy losing his title as Ireland's sweetheart to Ayo Edebiri. Barbie snubs and more iconic moments to grace the red carpet as the awards season comes to a close. Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, with 13 nominations, predictably reigned at the 96th Academy Awards on Sunday, taking home 7 prizes, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor for Cillian Murphy. The night was especially memorable for Robert Downey Jr., who won Best Supporting Actor, finally giving him the much-coveted Academy Award at his 3rd attempt. Meanwhile, Emma Stone earned her 2nd Best Actress Oscar for Yorgos Lanthimos' Poor Things, 7 years after winning for La La Land, and Da'Vine Joy Randolph earned her Best Supporting Actress for her role as a grieving cafeteria manager in The Holdovers.
Boy, my dress is broken. I think it happened during
The satire American Fiction won Best Adapted Screenplay, while the courtroom drama and Palme d'Or winner Anatomy of a Fall earned Best Original Screenplay, and Jonathan Glazer's The Zone of Interest took home the prize for Best International Feature Film. Billie Eilish, at 22, became the youngest 2-time Oscar recipient after winning Best Song for Barbie. Billie Eilish, at 22, became the youngest 2-time Oscar recipient after winning Best Song for her Barbie ballad, What Was I Made For, while the 83-year-old Hayao Miyazaki became the oldest winner of Best Animated Feature for The Boy and the Heron.
I do think it's an extra special feeling because we're all so happy to be on the other side of the longest strike in our history. I feel very optimistic. I feel like it's a new world order, and the industry at large understands that performers matter, and they have to be treated as gigantic contributors to this industry.
Looks like they had so much fun at the Oscars.
Yes, I loved it.
It's Monday, and to start the week, here's a quote from actor, singer, songwriter, and 30 Seconds to Mars frontman Jared Leto. Dream big while you sleep, and even bigger when you're awake.
It's so funny because when we watch things like the Oscars, we think about those people and that we can never reach what they have reached. But in all honesty, we truly can if we believe in it.
That is so true. And they were once dreamers too before they actually received this level of success.
So it is possible.
We just keep on believing. For those of you who are still on the road right now, please tune in to Eagle FM 95.5.
You can also catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Gianna Lianes.
I am Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Thank you for choosing Mata ng Agila International, your trusted news source, connecting you to the world and on point with stories from around the globe. Follow, like, and subscribe to @Net25 TV.